The Seattle rain hammered against the floor-to-ceiling windows of the cross-tower penthouse office. Nathan Cross barely noticed. At 42, he'd trained himself not to notice anything that didn't directly impact his bottom line. He moved through the sterile space like a shark through dark water. Sharp suit, sharper eyes, zero warmth. His assistant, Olivia Carter, sat at her desk outside his office door. 8 months she'd worked for him. 8 months of perfect punctuality, flawless organization, and complete invisibility. Exactly how he preferred it. The morning crawled forward in a blur of conference calls and contract negotiations. By 1 in the afternoon, Nathan needed coffee. He stepped out of his office, mind still calculating profit margins, when something caught his eye. An empty plastic container sat on Olivia's desk. Completely empty. Scrubbed clean, Nathan frowned. The clock read 1:17, lunch hour. But Olivia wasn't at her desk. Something about that spotless container created an uncomfortable sensation in his chest. A feeling he couldn't name. Why keep an empty container? Why not throw it away? The questions nagged at him with surprising intensity. He glanced down the hallway. Still empty. Without fully understanding why, Nathan moved closer to her desk, drawn by a mystery that demanded solving. He picked up the container. Cheap plastic, dollar store quality. Then he saw it. A small piece of paper folded carefully in the bottom corner. His heart rate accelerated. He checked the hallway again, then extracted the paper and unfolded it. The handwriting was neat. Feminine. Blue ink on lined notebook paper. Someday I will have a better life. But for now, I am grateful for what little I have. Because of my mother's medical bills, I cannot afford to spend anything on myself. God will reward me when the time is right. The signature was simple. Just the letter O. Nathan's hands trembled. He read it again. Then again. The container wasn't carelessness. It was evidence. Evidence of daily sacrifice, of hunger, of dignity maintained while slowly starving. How many days had she worked on an empty stomach? How many times had she smiled while taking his orders when she probably felt dizzy from hunger? The questions cracked something open inside him. Something he'd sealed shut years ago. Footsteps echoed down the hallway. Nathan quickly refolded the paper, slipped it into his jacket pocket, and placed the container exactly where he'd found it. Olivia appeared moments later, carrying a folder. Professional smile in place. Sorry for the delay, Mr. Cross. The printer was occupied. Nathan looked at her as if seeing her for the first time. Brown eyes held a spark he'd never noticed. Thin hands gripped that folder with quiet determination. No problem, Olivia. Just leave them on my desk. His voice sounded rough, unfamiliar. She nodded, delivered the documents, and returned to her desk. Nathan watched from his doorway as she carefully placed the empty container in her bag, handling it like something precious. The note in his pocket felt like lead. The rest of the afternoon passed in fog. He signed documents without reading them, canceled an important meeting claiming illness. It wasn't entirely a lie. Something inside him had shattered. At 6, Olivia knocked softly on his door. I finished filing the contracts. Mr. Cross. I'm leaving for the day unless you need anything else. She maintained that serene expression, as if nothing weighed on her slim shoulders. Something in Nathan broke. A wall built brick by brick over decades of choosing money over human connection. He couldn't let her walk out that door without acknowledging what he'd discovered. Olivia. Wait. She turned, eyebrows raised slightly. Nathan pulled the note from his pocket and placed it on his desk between them. Her face went pale. Then red, then pale again. Where did you get that? Her voice was barely a whisper. Your desk. The container. Silence stretched between them like broken glass. I can explain, she started, but Nathan raised his hand. How much do you make working for me? Mr. Cross, Answer the question. $42,000 a year. The number hit him like a physical blow. He spent more than that on his car lease. And your mother's medical bills? Olivia's eyes glistened. Stage 4 cancer. Experimental treatments. Insurance won't cover most of it. How much? $7,000 a month. Sometimes more. Nathan did the math instantly. After taxes, rent, utilities, and those medical bills, she had almost nothing left. Maybe $200 a month for food, transportation, everything else. Why didn't you tell me? A bitter laugh escaped her lips. Tell you what, exactly? That I'm poor? That I'm drowning? You made it very clear when you hired me that you value efficiency over humanity. I needed this job, Mr. Cross. I still need this job. The words cut deeper than any business rival's insult ever had. I'm not asking for pity, Olivia continued, voice stronger now. I don't want charity. I just want to work, to survive, to keep my mother alive as long as possible. Nathan stood frozen. Watching this woman he'd treated as invisible furniture revealed depths of strength he'd never imagined. Go home, Olivia. Panic flashed across her face. Please don't fire me. I'll work harder. I'm not firing you. Just go home. We'll talk tomorrow. She hesitated, then nodded slowly, gathered her things. At the door, she paused. The note was private, Mr. Cross. I'd appreciate it if... I know. I'm sorry. She looked surprised, as if those two words in his mouth were a foreign language. When she left, Nathan walked to his windows. The rain had stopped. Seattle glittered below him like scattered diamonds. He pulled out his phone and made a call. Marcus, I need information on experimental cancer treatments. All of them. Cost is irrelevant. As he hung up, Nathan caught his reflection in the glass. For the first time in years, he didn't recognize the man staring back. The note sat on his desk. A reminder that while he'd been building an empire, real people had been fighting real wars just feet away from him, and he'd been too blind to see. His phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. You shouldn't have read that note. Now you're involved. And involvement has consequences. Watch your back, Nathan. His blood ran cold. Someone had been watching. Nathan stared at the text message until the screen went dark. Unknown number. Specific threat. Someone knew about the note. About Olivia. About his moment of humanity. He tried calling back. The number was disconnected. Of course it was. Sleep didn't come that night. Nathan sat in his penthouse apartment, surrounded by expensive furniture and expensive silence, watching the city lights blur through the windows. At 3 a.m, his phone rang. Mr. Cross? It's Olivia. Her voice was shaking. Wrong. All wrong. What happened? Someone broke into my apartment. They didn't take anything. They just left a message on my mirror, written in red lipstick. Nathan was already grabbing his keys. What did it say? A pause. Then barely audible. It said, "Tell him to back off, or Mom's treatments stop permanently." 20 minutes later, Nathan stood in Olivia's tiny studio apartment. The space was smaller than his walk-in closet, spotlessly clean despite its age. A photograph of a smiling woman sat on the nightstand. Her mother, obviously. The resemblance was striking. The message on the mirror was exactly as described. Red lipstick, precise letters. 2 police officers were taking a report, but Nathan could see they weren't taking it seriously. No forced entry, no stolen property, probably just a prank. Olivia sat on her bed, arms wrapped around herself. She looked smaller than she did at the office, more fragile. After the police left, Nathan sat in the only chair, a rickety thing that creaked under his weight. Tell me everything, he said quietly. And I mean everything. Olivia's eyes met his. For a moment, he thought she'd refuse. Then something shifted in her expression. My mother's treatments are at Seattle Grace Hospital. Dr. Richard Morrison is her oncologist. He's brilliant but expensive. The experimental drug protocol costs $7,000 a month, sometimes more when complications arise. Go on. 3 months ago, a man approached me, said his name was Vincent. He knew about my financial situation, knew about Mom. He offered to help pay for the treatments. Nathan's jaw tightened. In exchange for what? Information. About you, your business deals, your meetings, your contacts. Olivia's voice dropped to a whisper. I said no. I told him I'd never betray you. But he didn't stop. No, he kept appearing. At the hospital. At the coffee shop near your office. He said he'd make sure Mom's insurance got mysteriously rejected. That her doctors would suddenly be unavailable. That complications would happen. Why didn't you tell me? Olivia laughed bitterly. Tell you what? That I was being threatened? You barely acknowledged I existed until yesterday. You didn't even know my last name until 3 months ago. The truth of her words hit hard. Who is he working for? I don't know. But yesterday, after you found the note, he texted me, said you'd made a mistake, that caring about people makes them vulnerable, that I was now leverage. Nathan stood and walked to the window. His mind was racing through possibilities. Business rivals, corporate espionage. He'd made plenty of enemies building his empire. Pack a bag, he said suddenly. What? You're not staying here tonight. It's not safe. Mr. Cross, I can't just— Nathan, call me Nathan. He turned to face her. And yes, you can. I have a guest room. Security. This apartment has a lock a child could pick. Why are you doing this? The question hung in the air between them. Why was he doing this? 24 hours ago, he wouldn't have. Couldn't have. People were chess pieces. Employees were expenses. Emotions were weaknesses. But that note had changed something. Or maybe it had just revealed something that had always been there, buried under years of calculated indifference. Because it's the right thing to do, Nathan said finally. And because I'm done pretending I don't care. Olivia searched his face, looking for the trap, the angle, the cost. What do you want in return? Nothing. Nobody does something for nothing. Then consider it payment for 8 months of perfect service while you were slowly starving. His voice hardened. Consider it an apology for being so blind I didn't see what was right in front of me. Tears welled in Olivia's eyes. She wiped them away quickly, angrily. I don't need your pity. Good. Because I'm not offering pity. I'm offering protection. There's a difference. She studied him for a long moment, then nodded slowly and began packing a small bag. 15 minutes later, they were driving through the empty Seattle streets in Nathan's Mercedes. Rain had started again, turning the city into a watercolor painting of blurred lights and dark shapes. Nathan? Olivia's voice was quiet. Uncertain, yeah? The note. In the container, I write one every day. It helps me remember why I'm fighting. Every day? Every day I can't afford to eat. It's a reminder that the hunger is temporary. That someday things will be different. Nathan's hands tightened on the steering wheel. How many notes have you written? Silence. Then, 143. 143 days. Nearly 5 months of systematic starvation while working, for a man who could have solved her problem with pocket change. The shame was overwhelming. They pulled into the underground, parking garage of Nathan's building. As they walked to the elevator, Nathan made a decision. Tomorrow morning, I'm calling your mother's doctor. Whatever the treatments cost, I'm covering them. Olivia stopped walking. No, it's not negotiable. Yes, it is. Her voice was steel now. I don't want your money, Nathan. I want to earn my way. I want to save my mother through my own effort. Not through charity from a billionaire having a guilt trip. This isn't charity. It's what? Compensation? Payment for information you stole from a private note? They stood in the parking garage, facing each other like boxers before a match. Then what do you want? Nathan asked, frustration bleeding into his voice. A raise. A real raise. $60,000 a year. And a bonus structure based on performance. I want to earn the money that saves my mother. I want to prove I'm worth it. Nathan almost laughed. You're asking for $18,000 more. I was going to offer you 80. I don't want 80. I want 60. And I want to earn it. They stared at each other. Thunder rumbled outside. You're the strangest woman I've ever met, Nathan said finally. And you're the most confusing billionaire I've ever worked for. Something shifted between them in that moment. Something neither could name but both could feel. The elevator doors opened. As they stepped inside, Nathan's phone buzzed. Another message from the unknown number. She's in your home now. How convenient. Maybe I should tell your board about your new living arrangement. Or maybe I should tell them about the offshore accounts you've been hiding. Your choice, Nathan. Back off, or everything burns. Nathan's blood turned to ice. The offshore accounts. Nobody knew about those except his accountant and his lawyer. Both were absolutely trustworthy, which meant Vincent, whoever he was, had access to information that should have been impossible to obtain. Nathan, what's wrong? He showed her the message. Olivia's face went pale. The offshore accounts. Are they illegal? Perfectly legal. Just very private. If my board found out, they'd panic. Think I was planning to sell, or hide assets. It would cause chaos. Then we have to give him what he wants. Which is what, exactly? I don't know. But if we don't figure it out soon, we're both going to lose everything. The elevator reached Nathan's floor. As the doors opened, they found themselves facing a man standing in the hallway. Expensive suit. Cold smile. Eyes like a shark. Hello, Nathan. Hello, Olivia. I'm Vincent. I think it's time we had a conversation about the future. Vincent stepped into the hallway light. Mid-50s. Silver hair slicked back, a smile that never reached his eyes. Everything about him screamed expensive and dangerous. How did you get past security? Nathan's voice was ice. I own half the security company that monitors this building. Did you really think your walls were as impenetrable as you believed? Nathan positioned himself slightly in front of Olivia. An instinctive movement. Protective, Vincent noticed. His smile widened. How touching. The cold-hearted billionaire has finally found a weakness. I was beginning to think you were actually made of stone. What do you want? Straight to business. I like that. Here's the situation, Nathan. You're going to sell me the Meridian property, the entire downtown block, for exactly half its market value. Nathan laughed. Actually laughed. The Meridian is worth $200 million. You want me to give you a $100 million discount? Are you insane? Insane? No, informed? Yes. Vincent pulled out a tablet and swiped through several screens. You're planning to develop that block into a mixed-use complex. Residential, commercial, and luxury retail. Your projected return over 10 years is $600 million. So I have documentation showing that you bribed 3 city council members to approve zoning changes. I have recorded conversations, bank transfers, everything needed to send you to prison for a decade. The words hit Nathan like bullets, because they were true. Every word. 5 years ago, desperate to secure the Meridian project, he'd paid off council members. Small payments, untraceable, or so he'd thought. You're bluffing. Vincent tapped his tablet. Nathan's voice filled the hallway. Younger, more arrogant, discussing payment schedules with council member Davidson. Crystal clear. Undeniable. Olivia's sharp intake of breath was audible. Nathan's mind raced. If that recording went public, he'd lose everything. The company. His fortune. His freedom. Even if that recording is real, it could be faked. Deep fake technology that is very advanced, which is why I have corroborating evidence. Bank statements, text messages, security footage, enough to make prosecution a certainty, not a possibility. What makes you think I won't go to the police right now? Tell them you're blackmailing me? Because by the time you finish that sentence, this recording will be on every news station in Seattle. Your arrest will happen before dawn. Vincent's expression hardened. I'm not here to negotiate, Nathan. I'm here to inform you of reality. Sell me the Meridian for half price, or watch everything you've built crumble to dust. Silence filled the hallway. Heavy. Suffocating. You have 48 hours to decide, Vincent said, turning toward the elevator. After that, the recording goes public. Oh, and Olivia? She flinched. Your mother's next treatment is in 3 days. Would be a shame if something went wrong during the infusion. Complications happen, even with the best care. Then he was gone. The elevator doors closed. The hallway was empty. Nathan and Olivia stood frozen, neither speaking, both processing the nightmare that had just unfolded. Finally, Olivia broke the silence. Is it true? Did you bribe city officials? Nathan's jaw tightened. Yes. Oh God. It was 5 years ago. I was younger, more reckless. The Meridian project was everything. I convinced myself that everyone did it, that it was just business. It's illegal. I know. You could go to prison. I know. Olivia sank against the wall. Her face was pale. This is because of me. Because you read that note. Because you tried to help me. No. This is because of choices I made years ago. You're just the leverage he's using. What are you going to do? Nathan looked at her. Really looked at her. This woman who'd worked for him for 8 months. Who'd sacrificed her own meals to keep her mother alive. Who'd maintained her dignity through circumstances that would have broken most people. Something crystallized in his mind. A decision that went against every instinct he'd honed over decades of ruthless business dealings. I'm going to give him what he wants. What? No, you can't just... The alternative is prison and your mother's death. That's not acceptable. Nathan, that property is worth... I know what it's worth. And I know that some things matter more than money. He met her eyes. I'm starting to understand that now. They went inside his apartment. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the city. Expensive furniture, expensive art, expensive everything. Except the most valuable thing in the room was standing beside him. And he'd almost lost her before he even realized she mattered. Olivia walked to the windows. Her reflection was ghostly in the glass. I should leave. Go back to my apartment. Get away from you before I destroy your entire life. You're not destroying anything. I destroyed it myself 5 years ago. I'm just paying the bill now. You don't understand. If you sell that property, you'll lose everything you've worked for. Not everything. The company will take a massive hit, but it won't collapse. I'll rebuild. I've done it before. Olivia turned to face him. Tears streamed down her face. Why? Why would you sacrifice so much for someone you barely know? Nathan crossed the room, stood in front of her, close enough to see the flecks of gold in her brown eyes, close enough to see the exhaustion etched into her features. Because yesterday I read a note that changed me. Because today I watched you refuse charity and demand the right to earn your own way. Because for the first time in 20 years, I feel like I'm doing something that matters more than profit margins. Nathan, and because, he continued, his voice dropping lower, I'm starting to care about you in a way that terrifies me. The confession hung between them. Raw, unexpected, dangerous. Olivia's eyes widened. You can't. You barely know me. I know you're strong enough to starve yourself to save someone you love. I know you're proud enough to refuse help even when you desperately need it. I know you're brave enough to stand up to a man like me and demand respect instead of begging for scraps. He paused. That's more than I knew about my ex-wife after 2 years of marriage. This is insane, probably. We work together. That can change. You're my boss. Not for long if Vincent gets his way, Olivia laughed. A broken, desperate sound. This is the worst timing in history. Story of my life. They stood there, inches apart, the tension between them electric and terrifying. Olivia's phone rang. The sound shattered the moment. She answered. Hello? Nathan watched as her face transformed. Color drained away. Her hand started trembling. What? When? Oh God, no. She ended the call, looked at Nathan with eyes full of absolute horror. That was the hospital. Mom's had a massive stroke. They don't think she'll make it through the night. Her voice cracked. Vincent did this. He actually did this. Nathan grabbed his keys. Let's go. They raced through the streets. Nathan's Mercedes weaving through traffic. Olivia silent beside him. Tears streaming. Hands clenched so tight her knuckles were white. At the hospital, they ran through antiseptic hallways. Found the ICU. Olivia's mother lay in a bed surrounded by machines, tubes, wires, the steady beep of monitors. Dr. Morrison met them outside the room. Ms. Carter, I'm so sorry. The stroke was massive. She's on full life support. Without it, she'd be gone already. But she can recover? Olivia's voice was desperate, pleading. The doctor's expression said everything. How long does she have? Nathan asked quietly. Hours. Maybe a day if we're lucky. The damage is too extensive. Olivia collapsed. Nathan caught her, held her as sobs racked her body. I need to see her, please. They went into the room. Olivia sat beside her mother's bed, held her hand, whispered words only a daughter could say to a dying mother. Nathan stood near the door, watching, feeling helpless in a way money couldn't fix. His phone buzzed. A text from Vincent. The stroke was natural. I didn't touch her, but now you see what you have to lose. Imagine if I actually tried. Sign the Meridian contract tomorrow, or next time. It won't be an accident. Rage flooded through Nathan. Pure, unfiltered rage. He stepped into the hallway. Made a phone call. Marcus, I need you to dig into someone named Vincent. Every detail, every secret, every weakness. I don't care what it costs or how long it takes. I want to know everything. Nathan, what's going on? War, that's what's going on. And I'm done playing defense. When he returned to the room, Olivia was still holding her mother's hand, but she was looking at Nathan now. Something had changed in her eyes. Something dark. Something determined. Nathan, she said quietly, don't sign the contract. Olivia, we discussed. Don't sign it. I have another idea. Her grip on her mother's hand tightened. But it's going to require you to trust me completely. And it's going to hurt. What kind of idea? She met his eyes. And in that moment, Nathan saw something he hadn't seen before. She wasn't just his assistant anymore. She wasn't just a victim. She was a warrior, forged in the fires of loss and desperation. And she had a plan. "I'm going to give Vincent exactly what he thinks he wants," Olivia said. "I'm going to betray you." Nathan stared at Olivia across the sterile hospital room. Machines beeped rhythmically. Her mother's chest rose and fell with mechanical precision. "You want to betray me?" Nathan said slowly. "Explain." Olivia's eyes were red, but her voice was steady. "Vincent wants information. Inside access to your business. He's been trying to use me for months. What if I finally give in? You'd be risking everything." "I already lost everything." She looked at her mother. "She's dying." Vincent proved he can get to anyone. If we fight him head-on, we lose. But if I give him what he wants, make him think he's won, then we can double-cross him. Nathan's mind was already working through the angles. Feed him false information. Lead him into a trap. Exactly. It's dangerous. Everything is dangerous now. They locked eyes. In that moment, something shifted between them. An unspoken agreement. A partnership forged in desperation and rage. "What do you need from me?" Nathan asked. Complete trust. "I'm going to tell Vincent everything. Your offshore accounts, your business strategies, your weaknesses, and you're going to let me. If you're wrong about this, then we both lose. But we're already losing. At least this way, we fight back." Nathan stood. Walked to the window. Seattle glittered below. His empire. His kingdom. All of it built on calculated risks and ruthless decisions. But this was different. This wasn't business. This was personal. "Okay," he said finally. "We do it your way." Olivia's mother died 3 hours later. Quietly, peacefully, surrounded by machines that couldn't save her. Olivia held her hand until the end. Nathan stood beside her, silent, present, offering the only thing he could offer. His presence. When it was over, Olivia stood. Her face was blank, empty. The tears had dried hours ago. "I need to call Vincent." Nathan nodded. She dialed. Put the phone on speaker. Vincent answered on the second ring. "Ms. Carter, my condolences about your mother. You killed her. The stroke was entirely natural, a sad consequence of advanced cancer and stress. You threatened her treatments. You caused the stress that killed her. Prove it." Silence stretched. Then Olivia spoke again. Her voice was different now. Colder. Harder. "You wanted information about Nathan Cross. I'll give it to you. All of it." Nathan watched her face, saw the transformation. She wasn't acting. She was becoming someone else. Someone capable of what came next, what changed? Vincent asked. Suspicious. "My mother died because I refused to help you. Because I chose loyalty over survival. That was stupid. I won't make that mistake again. How do I know you're serious?" Nathan's offshore accounts are in the Cayman Islands. Account numbers start with 847. Total balance is approximately $40 million. He uses them to hide profits from international deals. Legal but ethically questionable. Nathan's jaw tightened. She wasn't lying. She'd somehow accessed that information. Vincent was quiet for a moment. Then, "That's verifiable." "I'm impressed, Ms. Carter. What do you want in return?" "Money. Enough to pay off my mother's medical debts. 200,000. Done. Meet me tomorrow. Russo's Cafe, 10 in the morning. Come alone. And Ms. Carter, if this is a setup, you won't leave that cafe alive." The call ended. Nathan looked at Olivia. "How did you know about the Cayman accounts?" "I've been your assistant for 8 months. I see everything that crosses your desk. I'm not blind. I'm just poor. You could have used that information against me months ago. But I didn't. Because until today, I believed in doing the right thing." Her voice cracked. "Look where that got me. My mother is dead. Vincent is still walking free. And you're about to lose everything." "Olivia, don't. Just don't." She grabbed her coat. "I'm going home. I need to be alone. Let me drive you." "No, I need space. I need to think." She walked out. Nathan stood in that hospital room. Alone. Surrounded by machines that had failed to save a woman he'd never met but now mourned. His phone buzzed. "Mark is calling. I found something on Vincent. His real name is Vincent Russo, former prosecutor. Got disbarred 8 years ago for fabricating evidence. He's been working as a corporate fixer since then. Specializes in blackmail and extortion. Weaknesses? His daughter, Emily Russo, 23, graduate student at NYU. He's obsessed with her. Sends money every month. Calls every Sunday. Nathan felt something click into place. Marcus, I need you to do something. And I need you to not ask questions. The next morning, Nathan sat in his office, waiting. At 9:45, Olivia arrived. Professional attire, hair pulled back, eyes hidden behind dark sunglasses. I'm going to meet Vincent, she said. No greeting, no warmth, I know. If I don't come back, you'll come back. How do you know? Because I'm going to make sure of it. She almost smiled. Almost. You can't protect me from everything, Nathan. Watch me. At Russo's cafe, Vincent sat at a corner table. Expensive suit, confident smile. 2 bodyguards standing nearby. Olivia slid into the seat across from him. Ms. Carter, you look terrible. My mother died yesterday. How should I look? Fair point. Vincent slid an envelope across the table. 200,000, as promised. Now tell me about the Meridian development. Olivia opened the envelope, counted the bills, then looked up. The Meridian is Nathan's crown jewel. But there's a problem. The environmental impact study was falsified. If that information goes public, the entire project gets shut down. Years of work. Hundreds of millions in losses. Vincent leaned forward. Who falsified it? Nathan paid an engineering firm to alter the groundwater contamination data. It's buried deep, but it's there. Can you get me proof? I can, but it'll cost more than 200,000. Vincent's smile widened. Name your price. 500,000. And immunity. Whatever happens to Nathan, I walk away clean. You've thought this through. I've had a lot of time to think. Sitting in a hospital room, watching my mother die because I was too loyal to a man who didn't even know my last name 3 months ago. The words hung in the air, true and false at the same time. Vincent studied her face, looking for the lie. The trick. You really hate him now, don't you? I hate that I wasted 8 months starving myself while working for someone who could have saved my mother with pocket change. I hate that I chose integrity over survival. Most of all, I hate that it took losing everything to realize that loyalty is just another word for stupidity. Vincent nodded slowly. Get me the proof. You'll have your money. Olivia stood to leave, then paused. One question. Did you really cause my mother's stroke? Or was that just timing? Vincent's smile never wavered. Does it matter? Yes. Then let's say it was timing. Sleep better believing that. She walked out. Vincent watched her go, then pulled out his phone and made a call. Follow her. I want to know everywhere she goes, everyone she talks to. And if she meets with Cross, kill them both. Outside the cafe, Olivia walked 3 blocks, ducked into an alley. Nathan was waiting with the car. He bought it, she said, climbing in. You're sure? He's following me, which means the plan is working. Nathan pulled into traffic. Marcus confirmed it. Vincent's daughter is the key. She's clean, doesn't know what her father does. If we can get evidence of Vincent's crimes to her, she'll turn on him. That's a big if. It's all we have. They drove in silence for a moment. Then Olivia spoke. What I said in there. About hating you. I didn't mean. You meant every word. And you were right. Nathan. I should have seen you. Really seen you. Should have asked questions. Should have cared. I failed you in every way that mattered. You're trying to make it right now. Trying isn't the same as succeeding. They pulled up to Nathan's office building. Before Olivia could exit, Nathan grabbed her hand. When this is over, if we survive, I want to start again. Not as boss and assistant. As equals. As partners. Partners in what? In whatever comes next. Business. Life. Whatever we build together. Olivia looked at their joined hands, then at his face. You're serious? Completely. You realize that's insane. We barely know each other. I know you'd risk everything to save someone you love. I know you're willing to walk into danger without hesitation. I know you're stronger than anyone I've ever met. He paused. That's enough. Nathan, His phone rang. Marcus. Nathan answered. We have a problem. Vincent's men just grabbed someone. They think it's you, Olivia. But it's not. Then who is it? Your roommate. Sarah. They think she's you. Olivia's face went white. Oh God. Sarah. She came back early from her trip. She was at my apartment. They took her to Vincent's warehouse, East Side Industrial District. Nathan, if they figure out it's the wrong person. Nathan was already driving, tires screeching, racing through traffic. Call the police, Olivia said frantically. No time. By the time they arrive, Sarah will be dead. Then what do we do? Nathan's expression hardened. We make a trade. Me for her. No. Absolutely not. It's the only way. Nathan, he'll kill you. Maybe. But he won't kill Sarah if he has me instead. They pulled up to the warehouse. Nathan grabbed his phone, sent a text to Vincent. I know you have the wrong woman. Release her. Take me instead. I'll sign over everything. The Meridian, the offshore accounts, all of it. The response was immediate. Come inside. Alone. Olivia stays in the car. You have 5 minutes. Nathan looked at Olivia. Stay here. No matter what happens. I can't let you do this. You can. And you will. Because Sarah is innocent. And because someone needs to survive to finish what we started. He leaned in, kissed her, quick, desperate, full of everything they didn't have time to say. Then he was gone. Walking into the warehouse, into the darkness, into the unknown. Olivia sat in the car, shaking, terrified, watching the minutes tick by. Inside, Nathan found Vincent standing over Sarah. She was tied to a chair, crying, terrified but alive. Nathan Cross. The mighty billionaire comes to save a complete stranger. Let her go. She has nothing to do with this. I know. Which is why I'm going to. Vincent nodded to his men. They cut Sarah's bonds. She ran past Nathan, out the door. Gone. Now it's just us, Vincent said. What do you want? Everything. Sign the papers. Transfer the accounts. And then I want you to disappear. Permanently. Nathan pulled out a tablet. Started typing. Transferring funds. Signing documents. Vincent watched with satisfaction. I have to admit, I didn't think you'd actually do it. The cold-hearted Nathan Cross. Sacrificing everything for people who mean nothing to him. They mean something now. Yes, I suppose they do. Which is why this is even more satisfying. Nathan finished the last transfer. It's done. You have everything. Almost everything. Vincent pulled out a gun. But don't worry. Your death will look like a suicide. Billionaire overwhelmed by guilt over illegal business dealings. Very tragic. You'll never get away with this. I already have. The gunshot echoed through the warehouse. Nathan fell, blood spreading across his shirt. Vincent stood over him, smiled, then walked out. Outside, Olivia heard the shot, screamed, ran toward the warehouse. Inside, she found Nathan, bleeding, barely conscious. No. Nathan, stay with me. He coughed, blood on his lips. Papers, desk, proof, Vincent's crimes. Give to Emily. Nathan, please, don't leave me. Had to protect you, had to make it right. You did. You did make it right. Now stay. Please stay. But his eyes were closing, his breathing shallow. Olivia pressed her hands against the wound. screaming for help, calling 911. The sirens came. The ambulance. The chaos. As they loaded Nathan into the ambulance, Olivia saw something on the floor. An envelope. Addressed to her. She opened it. If you're reading this, I'm either dead or close to it. Everything I own is now yours. The company, the accounts, all of it. Use it to finish what we started. Destroy Vincent. Live the life you deserve. And forgive me for not seeing you sooner. Nathan. Tears streamed down her face as the ambulance pulled away. Sirens wailing. Nathan's life hanging by a thread. And somewhere across the city, Vincent Russo celebrated his victory, not knowing that the war had just begun. 3 weeks later, Olivia Carter stood at the floor-to-ceiling windows of Nathan's office. Her office now. The view was the same. The city glittered below, but everything else had changed. Nathan was alive. Barely. The bullet had missed his heart by 2 inches. He'd spent 19 days in ICU, coded twice. The doctors said it was a miracle. Olivia called it stubbornness. She'd spent every night in that hospital, working during the day from a laptop in his room, building her case, planning her revenge. Vincent thought he'd won, thought Nathan was dead or broken, thought Olivia was just a grieving assistant with no power. He was wrong. Marcus entered the office, carrying a thick folder. Everything you asked for. Vincent's entire operation. Financial records, blackmail files, client lists. Enough to put him away for life. How did you get all this? Let's just say Vincent's security wasn't as good as he thought. And his daughter was very interested in learning what her father actually does for a living. Olivia opened the folder. Years of crimes, dozens of victims. Vincent had destroyed lives as casually as most people threw away trash. Emily agreed to testify? She's horrified. Had no idea. She thought her father was a consultant. When I showed her the evidence, she broke down. Said she'd do anything to make it right. Good. Set up the meeting with the FBI. Tomorrow. I want this finished. Marcus hesitated. Olivia, are you sure about this? Vincent won't go quietly. He'll come after you. Let him try. There was steel in her voice now. The soft-spoken assistant was gone. In her place stood someone forged in fire. Someone who'd lost everything and rebuilt herself from ashes. At Seattle Grace Hospital, Nathan opened his eyes. Olivia sat beside his bed. She'd been reading financial reports, building the company back from Vincent's theft. You're awake, she said softly. Apparently. His voice was rough, weak. How bad? You died twice. Lost half your blood. The doctors said you shouldn't be alive. Disappointing them seems to be my specialty. Olivia almost smiled. The company is stable. I managed to reverse most of Vincent's transfers. We're not where we were, but we're not bankrupt. And Vincent? Tomorrow, FBI raid. Emily's testifying against him. It's over. Nathan tried to sit up, winced. I should be there. You can barely breathe. You're staying here. Olivia, no arguments. I'm finishing this. You did your part. You took the bullet. Now let me do mine. They locked eyes. Something passed between them. Understanding. Trust. Something deeper. I read your letter, Olivia said quietly. The one you left in the warehouse. I meant every word. You left me everything. Your company, your fortune. Why? Because you earned it. Because you're stronger than me. Because you deserve a life that isn't defined by sacrifice and loss. Nathan, I can't accept. It's done. Legal documents, signed, notarized. If I'd died, you'd inherit everything. Since I didn't die, we're partners. Equal shares. Equal say. You're insane. You keep saying that. Because you keep proving it. He reached for her hand. She let him take it. When I get out of here, Nathan said, I want to start over. Build something new. Not just a company. A life with you. If you'll have me. Olivia was quiet for a long moment. 3 weeks ago, I was your invisible assistant. Now I'm your partner. Your equal. The woman you almost died protecting. And I'm terrified. This is happening too fast. Too intense. We barely know each other outside of crisis and chaos. So we slow down. Take time. Figure it out together. What if we figure out we don't work? Then we don't. But at least we tried. She studied his face, saw the sincerity, the hope, the vulnerability he'd never shown before. Okay, she said finally. When this is over, when Vincent is locked away and you're healed and everything settles, we try. That's all I'm asking. The next day, FBI agents surrounded Vincent's estate. Olivia stood behind the police line, watching, waiting. Vincent emerged in handcuffs, confused, angry, shouting about lawyers and wrongful arrest. Then he saw Olivia. Their eyes met across the distance. Vincent's expression transformed. Rage. Pure, undiluted rage. You, he snarled. You did this? No, Olivia said quietly. You did this. Years ago. I just made sure you finally paid for it. I'll destroy you. Even from prison. You'll do nothing. Your accounts are frozen. Your contacts are fleeing. Your daughter is testifying against you. You're finished, Vincent. And unlike my mother, unlike Nathan, unlike all your other victims, you'll live to see the consequences of your choices. Vincent was pushed into a police car, still shouting, still threatening. Olivia watched until the car disappeared, then turned and walked away. It was over. 6 months later, Nathan stood without pain for the first time since the shooting. Physical therapy had been brutal, recovery slow, but he was whole again, mostly. The company had rebuilt. Stronger than before. With Olivia as true partner, they'd restructured, made it ethical, transparent. Everything Nathan's empire hadn't been. They'd donated $10 million to cancer research, in memory of Olivia's mother, created a foundation for families struggling with medical debt. Vincent was awaiting trial, facing 70 years in federal prison. His daughter visited him once. To say goodbye, she wanted nothing to do with his legacy of destruction. Nathan found Olivia on the office roof. She came here often now, to think, to breathe, to remember. Hey, he said softly. Hey yourself. Penny for your thoughts. Thinking about Mom, about how different everything would be if she was still here. She'd be proud of you, of what you've built. Maybe, or maybe she'd tell me I'm working too hard, not taking enough time for myself. Nathan moved beside her, close but not touching, respecting her space. There's something I need to tell you, he said. That sounds ominous. Not ominous. Just true. He took a breath. I'm falling in love with you. Probably have been since I read that note in your lunch container. Maybe before that and I was just too blind to see it. Olivia's breath caught. Nathan, you don't have to say it back. I'm not asking for anything. I just needed you to know. Because we promised honesty. And hiding this felt like lying. She turned to face him, eyes shining. You're an idiot. I know. A stubborn, reckless, impossible idiot. Also accurate. Who almost got himself killed protecting people he barely knew. Guilty. Who gave up everything. Because it was the right thing to do. I'd do it again. I know you would. She stepped closer. That's why I'm falling in love with you too. Even though it's terrifying and illogical and completely against everything I planned for my life. What did you plan? Survival, stability, safety. Not complicated billionaires with hero complexes and dangerous enemies. Fair criticism. But here we are. Here we are. They stood there. Seattle spreading below them. The city where they'd both lost everything and found each other. So what now? Olivia asked. Now we build, together, whatever comes next. We face it as partners, equal partners. Always. She reached for his hand, laced her fingers through his. My mother used to say that sometimes the worst moments in our lives lead us to the best parts. I didn't understand that until now. She sounds like she was wise. She was. She'd have liked you. Eventually. After she yelled at you for not noticing me sooner. Nathan laughed. I'd have deserved that. Completely. They stood in comfortable silence, watching the sun set over the city. Two broken people, put back together, stronger at the broken places. Nathan? Yeah? Thank you. For seeing me. For reading that note. For caring when you could have just walked away. Thank you for teaching me that some things matter more than money. for showing me that strength isn't about power. It's about dignity in the face of impossible circumstances. We make a good team, the best. Below them, the city lights began to flicker on, one by one, illuminating the darkness. You know what the funny thing is? Olivia said. What? I wrote 143 notes. Reminders that someday things would be better. I never imagined this. Never dreamed that someday would look like this. Is it what you wanted? She looked at him. Really looked at him. Saw the man behind the money, the heart beneath the armor. It's better, she said softly. Because it's real. Because we earned it. Because we chose each other when we could have chosen safety. No regrets? Not one. He pulled her close. She let him. Let herself lean into his strength. Let herself believe that maybe, finally, the fighting was over. Olivia Carter. Nathan whispered against her hair. You're the best thing that ever happened to me. Nathan Cross, she whispered back. You're the most complicated, infuriating, wonderful thing that ever happened to me. Is that a compliment? It's the truth. They stood there as night fell. Two people who'd found each other in the darkness, who'd fought their way through hell, who'd emerged scarred but whole. The note Olivia had written all those months ago was framed now, hanging in their office, a reminder. Someday I will have a better life. Someday had arrived, and it was more beautiful than either of them had dared to imagine. The end.